This morning, I was just thinking about everything that's been going on in the world and the situation that we find ourselves living under with regards to the COVID-19 virus, and how we're getting to that point where we just wish that things would get back to normal, that somehow it would all come to an end. It's just getting so overwhelming, and the news seems to be so disheartening. We look at your televisions now and you see the riots that are going on down in the States and the protests. We hear about the deaths that are continuing through the virus crisis, and we just left to wonder where it's all going to end, or if it's all going to end. And at times it feels almost like we're in a hopeless situation. And as I was thinking about that today, an image that came to mind was the image of Elijah, and the story that's found in the first book of Kings, where Elijah engages in a competition with the prophets of Baal to see which god was the most powerful, whether it was Baal or whether it was the God of Israel. And they set up the sacrifices, and Elijah called upon the God of Israel to consume the sacrifices, and it was done that way, and it proved that the God of Israel was the one true God. And it ended up that the prophets of Baal were slain, and word got back to Queen Jezebel, and Jezebel put a price on Elijah's head. And he began to run. He was fleeing for his life. And he got to the point where he just wanted to die. He just wanted it to end. I want it to be over. And, he had come to, we would say, the end of our rope. He had come to the end of his rope. And it was in that moment of desperation where the angel of the Lord came and directed Elijah to continue his journey and to go to Mount Horeb. And he went to Mount Horeb, and he was instructed to go to stand on the mountain before the Lord, because the Lord was about to pass by. And I'll quote the Bible reading for you from 1 Kings chapter 19. He said, "Go out and stand on the mountain before the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by." Now there was a great wind, so strong that it was splitting mountains and breaking rocks in pieces before the Lord. But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a sound of sheer silence. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Then there came a voice to him that said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" It was in the still small voice, when Elijah was at his absolute wit's end, that God came to him. God came not in the big events, not in the violence of the earthquake or the heat of the fire or the rush of the wind, but in the silence. We've all experienced quite a bit of silence this last little while. We've been locked up in isolation. Some of us have been quarantined. Some of us have been afraid to step outside of our bubbles. Some of us have been afraid to step outside of our homes. And rightly so. These are scary times, and we are only human. But as the story of Elijah shows, God remains with us, even in our struggles. Even in our moments of doubt, even when we get to that lowest point, we're almost like Elijah. We wish that it was all over. God still walks with us. God still directs us to our own Mount Horebs, to our own places where we will speak with God, where we will experience God. As we endure together, as we continue on in our day-to-day living, let us never forget to listen for that still small voice that voice that assures us God is here, and that voice that speaks the words that the psalmist recorded. Be still and know that I am God. God bless you, and stay safe, my friends. Hopefully, we'll speak again.